It's Tuesday, October 26th, and this is now on HNN.
Yeah, this is an incredible opportunity for folks.
We know more about those new COVID-19 rules for international travelers flying to the U.S., the impact on ticket sales, and are there any airfare deals?
Even from Hawaii to Europe, we saw prices in the 500s round trip.
And everyone's talking about this story. Check out the getaway attempt by this Big Island suspect. Yeah, that's a push lawnmower.
Millions across the country are dealing with heavy rain and flooding. I'm Elise Preston with a look at how a bomb cyclone is impacting the Northeast.
The whole trunk is out. The windshield is gone. That looks bad.
These stories, plus a Honolulu bar is selected to receive a bottle of the world's oldest Japanese whiskey. The price tag for a special tasting coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for watching. This is Now. You got Jonathan and Ashley here coming to you from the H&N Digital Center. Let's get you started with this, and it is loading right now as we speak. I have a beautiful live picture of Paris. There it is, right there,
wow.
And the lights are even going off, guys. Check this out. It is midnight there in Paris right now. 12 hours difference than us right here at the noon hour. You know, it's going to get a lot easier to travel to places like this very soon.
That's right. The U.S. has released more details about new international COVID-19 travel requirements. That's today's Talker Story.
So beginning November 8th, foreign non-immigrant adults traveling to the United States will need to be fully vaccinated with only limited exceptions, and all travelers will need to be tested for COVID before boarding a plane to the U.S. There will be tightened restrictions for American and foreign citizens who are not fully vaccinated. The new policy comes as the Biden administration moves away from restrictions that ban non-essential travel from several dozen countries. So with this easier access to international travel, are there any deals out there? Today, I checked in with Willis Orlando of online travel resource Scott's Cheap Flights.
We're talking about folks traveling from, say, Europe and Canada into the US, and so we're thinking they're the ones getting the deals. But this is a two-way street, right? And we've seen this throughout the pandemic. Whenever, borders have opened up between countries, what we've seen is the airlines have scrambled to capture that new demand really fast by adding new planes on those routes, which increases capacity, increases supply. And we all know when supply goes through the roof and demand doesn't keep up, prices go down. So this announcement was first kind of floated a few weeks ago before becoming official very recently. And we really, really quickly started seeing deals. Even from Hawaii to Europe, we saw prices in the 500s round trip. We saw 564 round trip from 4 different airports in Hawaii to Amsterdam. That went out just this morning. 587 round trip from 4 airports in Hawaii to France, the cities all over France. That was 2 weeks ago. We saw that one go out. And we're expecting more and more frequent deals like this, particularly between Hawaii and Europe, because this is a two-way street. If those planes are going one way, they're going the other way as well.
Well, let's talk about this. If anyone does want to travel from here internationally, what do they need to watch out for? What are some things they might not think about when they're traveling internationally right now, still amid the pandemic?
Yeah, traveling internationally is not all that difficult right now, but it's a little bit intimidating. I myself just got back from 2 months in Europe, and I can tell you the pre-preparation was more stressful than anything else, making sure I had all my documents in line, making sure that I was up to date on what the entry requirements were. In fact, while I was in Italy, they added a new requirement for folks that you had to be tested even if you were vaccinated. So we tell folks, hey, get on to the local embassy's website, wherever you're traveling internationally, and check it frequently leading up to your flight to make sure you know what the requirements are day of. More is always more. If you have your vaccination card, if you have a copy of it, if you have a test that's required, have a copy of it. The more you have, the more likely you are to make things go smoothly as you're getting ready to go. And the more smooth things will be once you're on the ground in your destination.
Well, I think a lot of people's fear is getting trapped somewhere, right? So what do American citizens need to know for coming back into the country after their vacation or business trip?
Yeah, if you're a vaccinated American traveler, coming back in is going to be pretty easy. All you need to do is show your CDC card, which shows that you're vaccinated, and then have a negative test within 3 days, not 72 hours, 3 days, to give you a little bit more leeway there of coming back. In many destinations that are getting a lot of tourists, these tests are readily available. I found mine very quickly for €15 in Italy without even really having to think about it. If you're unvaccinated, there are more requirements for you right now. First, make sure you're allowed to go wherever you're going. A lot of countries have rules in place where if you're unvaccinated, you won't be welcome at the moment. But otherwise, you want to make sure you get your test within 3 days of coming. And you also will have to show that you've already paid for a test that you'll take within 24 hours of being back in the US. So kind of testing on both ends if you're unvaccinated. Overall, we say if you're unvaccinated and traveling, make sure you're much more thorough because the rules are a lot tighter on you.
All right, Willis Orlando with online travel service Scott's Cheap Flights. Thanks for being with us. We just got this breaking news into our newsroom. U.S. health advisors have endorsed kid-sized doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for younger children. The vote took place just a short time ago by an FDA panel, and it moves the U.S. closer to vaccinating children ages 5 to 11. The FDA isn't bound by the panel's recommendation and is expected to make its own decision within days. If regulators agree, shots could begin as early as late next week. Young kids would get a third the dose given to teens and adults. A recent study found kid-sized vaccinations are nearly 91% effective at preventing infections that cause symptoms. Moderna also is studying its vaccine for young children. The State Department of Health is reporting today 74 new COVID cases and no additional deaths. According to DOH, some 71% of the state's population is now fully vaccinated, while 79.7% has received at least one dose.
The evidence is stacking up against the Honolulu police officers involved in a controversial police chase that led to a horrific crash in Makaha. Newly released security footage shows the officers chasing the white Honda with their blue lights off about a block before the Honda flipped over, ejecting the passengers. The video taken from a nearby 7-Eleven also shows two of the police cars circled back from the back roads about a minute later, where they meet at the corner of Farrington Highway and Makaha Valley Road.
They pull up even, very close, so it looks like clearly they're talking to each other. And then the blue and white takes off with the SUV following, and they both make a left onto Farrington going through a red light. This isn't just negligence. This is reckless and intentional.
HPD says criminal and administrative investigations are pending. All three officers have been stripped of their police powers and have been reassigned to desk duty.
Police say an arson suspect on Hawaii Island chose a bizarre getaway car in a spectacle that was captured on camera. Check this out. The man is accused of starting a small brush fire in North Kona. The suspect then fled the scene on a push lawnmower, zooming past bumper-to-bumper traffic on Highway 11, getting no shortage of attention along the way. Hawaii County Police say the man was riding the lawnmower when he was arrested. Turning to severe weather now, the first nor'easter of the season is starting to soak the North Atlantic. Let's turn things over now to Elise Preston, who has the latest developments on a number of developing situations regarding the weather across the mainland.
Commuters drove through floodwaters into New York's Lincoln Tunnel Tuesday as the region faced what forecasters are calling a bomb cyclone. Across the city, the severe weather caused problems. A tree toppled onto a car and rain dripped down onto the subway tracks.
It's terrible, I can tell.
They gotta invest money for sure.
Outside the city, this driver got stuck and had to wait for a tow truck to pull out his vehicle while the rain came down hard. It was a similar scene in New Jersey. A river overflowed in Union County, shutting down a roadway after several drivers got stuck.
If you're out on our roads and come across a flooded section, please just turn around. Flooded roads can have currents swift enough to wash a car and its passengers away.
I'm walking alongside a washed out street in Hoboken, New Jersey, but very carefully, just a few feet away, I can't even see how far down the water goes, and there's a stalled out car in the middle of the roadway.
A flash flood watch is in effect for more than 31 million people across the Northeast. The rain also started coming down hard overnight in Boston. Up to 6 inches of rain could fall before it's all over. Plus, heavy winds are expected to cause widespread power outages.
This is about as extreme a pattern as it gets.
And the West Coast is trying to recover from its own bomb cyclone that dumped record-setting rainfall over the weekend. That system could make its way to the Northeast later this week. Elise Preston, CBS News, Hoboken, New Jersey.
All right, thanks, Elise, for that update. Want to take you to another live video feed coming into our H&N Digital Center, and it worked. This is Houston, Texas, and we're taking this live video feed because, just to tease you a little bit, we're going to be talking about the World Series in just a moment. And as you can see, there is no bomb cyclone there in Texas today. Looks like some grayish but decent weather for the game that's going to get started in just minutes. But first, before we check in with our reporter there, let's turn it over to Guy Hoggy with a check of our weather.
It's going to be a gorgeous Tuesday. We had a few showers this morning, right? But they're drying up already. Leeward side should be mostly dry. And those winds slower today than yesterday. They'll be blowing in at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So there are no weather alerts out there. However, we're still looking at some sizable surf in the country. This swell is on the way down. Another northwest swell will be picking up tonight through tomorrow, and that's going to bump up the size tomorrow. A big swell is due into the country over the weekend. Sunday looks like it could be just huge as far as the surf goes. Now, we've got light trade winds today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Very nice weather with a few windward and Malka showers. But starting on Friday, variable winds take over. That will lead to afternoon clouds and a few afternoon downpours, probably into the early part of next week.
Well, what should be a thrilling World Series is about to get started in just minutes. The Houston Astros taking on the Atlanta Braves. Jay Gray has all the details you need to know.
From Minute Maid Park, we're just ahead of the opening pitch in the World Series. You've got the Astros taking on the Atlanta Braves. Game 1 right here in Houston. The Astros, of course, they've been to the championship 3 of the last 5 years. For the Braves, this is the first time since 1999 that they've been a part of the World Series. For the Astros, they come in as the bad boys of baseball. The Astros won it all last in 2017, beating the Dodgers, but an investigation by Major League Baseball uncovered sign stealing by the team and showed that they were signaling players on base by banging garbage cans in the dugout. So they come to this game looking for some redemption. As for the Braves, they're looking to win, as we've talked about, their first championship in quite some time, and they hope to do that with pitching. The Astros, though, have quite an offense that they'll present to that pitching staff for the Braves. Look, there's also the looming collective bargaining agreement, which is set to expire, and a possible lockout that could come in December for Major League Baseball. So for so many reasons, this is a big series. Odds makers and a lot of the experts have this series as pretty much a pick-em. If there's any favorite across the board, it would seem to be the Astros, but most believe it'll go all 7 games. That's the latest from here in Houston. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
A trip to Disneyland just got more expensive again. For the 5th time in 5 years, the California theme park is raising ticket prices. A one-day ticket will run between $104 and $164, depending on demand for that day. Weekends and holidays tend to cost more. The new pricing takes effect in March of 2022.
Buckingham Palace says Queen Elizabeth has canceled her planned engagement at the UN Climate Conference, taking her doctor's advice to rest. Today, she carried out her first official engagements virtually from Windsor Castle. Last week, a Buckingham Palace spokesman said the 95-year-old monarch was admitted to the hospital for preliminary investigations. She returned to Windsor Castle on Thursday and remains in good spirits. Former Japanese Princess Mako has formally given up her royal title after marrying a commoner. The couple apologized for any trouble their marriage might have caused. Selena Wang reports from Tokyo.
Most royal weddings are a time for celebration, but not this one. Japan's Princess Mako gave up her royal title to marry her college sweetheart, Keiko Muro, without any fanfare. Instead, they held a press event.
I apologize for any burden I may have caused because of this marriage. Kei's existence is irreplaceable to me.
I love Mako. I want to spend my one life with the person I love. I would like to start a beautiful family with Mako and do whatever I can to support her.
Media have been waiting outside of the closed event. No live questions were allowed. The palace said Mako felt strong anxiety just imagining answering the questions verbally. She's been diagnosed with complex PTSD because of the relentless scrutiny in Japan. But in written remarks, the couple said they felt horrified and scared by the false information that's been taken as fact. Their wedding was delayed for 3 years after rumors emerged about financial disputes involving Komuro's family. The gossip spiraled, public opposition grew, even causing people to rally against their marriage in the streets, dividing the public.
People fear the image of the royal family will be sullied. I have a hard time feeling genuinely happy for them.
I feel sorry for her. I just want her to be happy.
So does royal superfan Fumiko Shirataki. She's been staked outside of this hotel for hours, waiting to catch a glimpse of Mako. 81-year-old Shirataki has been chasing the royals for 28 years, snapping tens of thousands of photos, even following the current empress and her daughter up the mountains on their private hikes. Shirataki started crying when I asked her about Mako's marriage. I feel a sense of relief, she told me, that Mako is finally able to get married after 3 years of waiting. Japan's royal women are barred from the throne, and if they marry commoners, they have to abdicate and leave the royal family. Mako is entitled to a $1.35 million payment in taxpayer money to help her start a new life, but she's not taking the money. The couple will be moving to New York, where Komuro works at a law firm, escaping this backlash at home. Shirataki wishes Mako could have had the traditional royal wedding. But even without the celebration, for Shirataki and many in Japan, this wedding will be unforgettable. A reminder of duty and society's expectations clashing with love. Selena Wang, CNN, Tokyo.
All right, let's get to some Halloween news. Truly my favorite time of year. You guys, don't forget, we want your costume photos, and I know a lot of you are getting them ready right now as we speak. So as you do, snap a picture, go to your H&N digital platforms, submit them to our This Is Now Halloween costume contest. Winners will be announced on Friday. Finalists will be posted on Instagram on Thursday. You guys vote. Whoever gets the most likes is the grand prize winners. Winning grand prizes to the International Marketplace's Grand Lanai awesome eateries, offering up some awesome gift cards. Let's get to some other Halloween news.
Oh yeah, so navigating the real estate market can be a real nightmare, but horror movie fans could be looking at the house of their dreams. Now, the house made famous by the Nightmare on Elm Street movie series is up for sale in Los Angeles. A listing for the home, which isn't actually on Elm Street, features photos of that certain scary someone enjoying the Dutch colonial-style digs and all of its features. Now, while the home itself is lovely, the price tag may be a little scary. It's listed for $3.25 million, and the LA Times reports offers for the property are due, you guessed it, midnight on Halloween.
That makes sense. And for our podcast listeners, they got really, really creative with these real estate photos. They actually have a Freddy Krueger there posing at an office desk in the bathtub and lounging around the house.
So good.
Pretty good, guys. Ashley's been working on a cool story for us.
Yeah, so how much would you pay for a tasting of the world's most oldest Japanese whiskey? Well, we took a field trip to downtown Honolulu to check it out. You guys have all heard of Guy Hoggy's Cheap Eats. Well, this is completely opposite of that. The duo behind Bar Leather Apron is holding a special tasting event at the end of the month, and it features this extremely rare bottle of whiskey, the Yamazaki 55.
I don't know anything more rare.
Justin Park, head bartender and owner of Bar Leather Apron, says the Yamazaki 55 is the oldest Japanese whiskey in the world, released by the House of Suntory. The bottle is made of crystal, with the age marking in gold dust. Only 100 bottles were released, so as expected, it's not cheap.
So a bottle like this, the Yamazaki 55 here, goes for roughly $60,000 retail. That's if you'd ever find a retail, which you never would. So in auction, these bottles, the last time I checked, went for $780,000 for a single bottle. That's wild.
So what is it like handling something like that? I'm sure it's very stressful.
Yeah, very stressful. I buckled into the seatbelt of my car. I have a 10-month-old at home, and I felt like the same amount of stress driving. It's terrible to say.
BLA is the first establishment in Hawaii to get their hands on the exclusive blend. Park credits their strong relationship with Suntory, and he says it's an honor.
I guess they look at that kind of stuff, you know, when they're bringing a new product to market or something very unique. And I think our brand just aligns with what this is, and we'll do a great job representing it.
This Friday and Saturday, a special tasting event will be held at their sister restaurant, Bar Maze in Kaka'ako. The tasting will be led by a Suntory brand ambassador with dinner to follow. And with only 25 ounces in the bottle, there are 25 seats available.
The price of the event is $25,000 a head. And it was really important for us to tie in a charity to this, because I think the way Suntory is giving back to the people to be able to try this, it was important for us to also do that. So we tied in Aloha United Way as well as Hawaii Community Foundation. $5,000 from each ticket goes to those charities. He'll go through various tastings of different whiskeys, components that make up the Yamazaki 55 year as well as the Yamazaki 55 year itself. Almost like telling a story culminating in the tasting of this whiskey. Suntory could have went different routes and just sold these bottles for millions of dollars, right? But they didn't, and they're really like letting people try it and sharing the story, which is really unique. So we wanted to put on an event that was very unique.
I got to be honest, Ashley, I helped you shoot some of those images
Sure
there,
did.
and I was so nervous around that.
Me too.
Oh my goodness.
They let me hold it, and I really didn't want to because
I wouldn't.
It's $1 million bottle there.
All right, let's get to some more good news, guys. Christy Yamaguchi's nonprofit is turning 25. It supports literacy. She talked to our Billy B this morning on Sunrise.
So go ahead and explain to everybody, for those that are not familiar, because part of your Always Dream Foundation is always reading program.
Yes, so we have an early literacy program in kindergarten, and this year we're actually piloting in some pre-K and TK classes. So we have the tools, the literacy tools for the students on digital tablets and ebooks, and we also give extensive family engagement support. So to really stress the importance of reading with your child and helping the families and the parents to really find time and sit down and read to their kids.
So that way it's not just handing them the book and go sit in the corner somewhere, right?
Absolutely, and you know, we're targeting you know, the schools where the need is the greatest. So a lot of these families don't have books in the home. They don't have, you know, all of that support that is really necessary to kind of set up that foundation of the love of reading and the love of books for their children.
But you're also engaging with parents as well and families through weekly text messages?
Yes, so we use technology for good and text message the parents 3 times a week with tips and reading strategies, also reminders like, hey, there's 5 new books in your library, pick one tonight and read it to your child. And you know, these things are constantly little nudges, I guess, to keep them engaged. And we also have a local book coach who they're monitoring the progress that the families are doing, and they reach out. They're constant support for the families and students here.
Okay, and so if somebody wants more information on the foundation and also Always Reading program, where do they get that?
alwaysdream.org is our website, and it just has all the updated things that are happening, and we're celebrating our 25th anniversary, so you know, hopefully we'll be back here with something fun in 2022.
Love her. She's so sweet. If you want to watch more of that interview or get that more information Billy was referencing, just go to HawaiiNewsNow.com. Click on Sunrise. We have a whole tab there dedicated to that stuff you see on Sunrise. That's oh so cool. You guys, Ashley is going to be back here at First at 4 on KHNL. Don't miss it.